As companies grow and get larger, at some point in time, they begin to realize that they get bogged down with the problem of contract management. That's what a lot of people are looking for and wanting a software solution to take care of for them. And it's really not just contracts, it's any expiring agreement. So for example, we have customers that have 50, 75, 100 to 300 locations. Many of those locations have leases, and those are also a form of an expiring document. A lease, you have to renew the lease or terminate it. Same with insurance policies. Those are also a type of expiring document that needs to come to be managed by an environment. So what we're looking at right here is the Docstar Enterprise Content Management System. It does lots of different things, but what we're going to do now is simply focus on its ability to help you manage your expiring agreements, whatever they are. So I'm logged into it. It's a web browser-based solution, HTML5 compliant for those of you who are kind of technical, meaning it works on any system. You could be on a Macintosh or a PC or any kind of a tablet device, and you just go to the URL and start using it. So first, let's take a look at the advantage of having all of your expiring agreements in some kind of management system. So if you wanted to take a look at everything that you have in the system, you can set up what's called a saved search right here. And we can look at all of the expiring agreements that are in the system here. And so this is, just a handful. I mean, if you were a small to mid-sized company, maybe this would be about right. And I can sort by any of these column headers, and that you can have whatever columns you want showing. So here are a few building and property related documents, a couple of lease agreements, some business service subscriptions, 3 SaaS agreements. This could be your IT managed service agreement for your managed service provider if you use one, professional services for accounting, etc. So you get the drill. These are lots of different types of documents. What we do is we help you capture the start date and the completion date of any of these contracts, and we'll automatically calculate these other 2 columns. So this notification date is, when does the vendor need to hear from you? What's the last possible day you have to let them know that you want to either renew or terminate your agreement? So you don't want to be notified on this date, because if you are, then that means you're not going to be able to respond in time. So really what you need is to back up 30 to 60 days ahead of this date. That would be called the review date. So the review date is in front of this date, which is in front of this date. So, and you can sort by any of these dates that you want. And notice that in this search here, I've got it set up so that we're looking at everything, but I could narrow this down if I wanted to a lesser amount. If I ran this search again here, we could do it by review date. See, and then we could choose a different date if we wanted to. So you could do date range searches and other things like that to find exactly what you're looking for. But the sorting makes it easy to find just the things that you need to concentrate on in the near term. Or, like I was saying earlier, you can just have a category only search. So maybe you just want to see lease agreements and narrow your search to just the leases that you have in the system. So you can set up this retrieval process any way that makes the most sense to you. Now we can set up notifications, like I was saying earlier. A review date, you want to be notified when you have a review coming up for, say, a lease renewal or some kind of contract renewal. Those kinds of things can come right into your email here, and you can see right here in my email, I've got contract reaching term. And so I have this particular one coming up. I can attach the actual contract to the email in case I'm offline someplace and want to look at it on my smartphone or on some sort of a laptop when I'm out of the office. Or I can just click on this link and have it take me right to this particular contract that needs to be either renewed or terminated. This would be like a Comcast one that we have ourselves. So Yeah, here, business service order agreement with Comcast. So I can just click on the link when it sends me the notification and do what I need to do with it. Now, what happens if you want to just go find a specific agreement? Maybe you have a vendor on the phone right now and they want to talk to you and you want to get a copy of the agreement. So just start typing the name of the vendor. And in this case, we have a vendor and a contract number. I can just click the quick search bar and it takes me to basically a package. So this is SoftFront. So I have the master agreement, the vendor proposal, the internal justification and correspondence, and a certificate of insurance related to this particular agreement. Or I just might want to see the agreement in and of itself. And I can take notes. This one has an approval on it. But if I wanted to send a note to our contract manager, if I'm like a senior manager, I could say, please renew for 24 months, okay? And then that note will be seen by somebody who's in charge in the legal department or whoever is in charge of renewing these agreements. Some of you might be asking, how do documents get into the system so that you can work with them and set up all the dates we were talking about? Well, this is a Word document right here, and any Microsoft Office document is going to have a button like this, Epicor ECM, or might say Docstar ECM. Epicor is the new branding. You'll just have a button right here to drive this document into the solution. So that's one way. Or I can right-click on any Word document or any PDF, send to, there it is, Docstar Cloud, or PDF, same thing, send to Docstar Cloud. And you have a lot of different options of how you want to get stuff into the system. It will, of course, allow you to use any kind of scanner. So if you had a scanner, I don't have one. But if I did, the name of it would just show up right here, like Kodak, 1150 or whatever model that I have. And you would just click this direct scan button and scan things in. Otherwise, you would just use a copier or printer, copier printer device, multifunction device, and scan from that into a folder. And then Docstar will pull all of those scanned images into a workflow like this. And this is the screen that allows me to see every document that's in some level of process right now, either fully approved or partially approved or out for approval, or maybe it just came in and I have to put the metadata tags on it to make sure that we're going to be able to manage it correctly. So when your contract manager or contract processor is in this screen, this is where documents get worked on before they're filed and then before they notify you that they're ready to be either renewed or terminated. And so I can, right here from this screen, I can filter down to just who I'm logged in as, let's say the contract processor. So this is everything that's in the contract processor's queue. And then here's the contract manager right here with a few more things. And then you can actually have all here. This is looking at everybody's queue. And I can also filter down by what workflow I want to take a look at. You could have different workflows for the different types of agreements. If you're a really big company, maybe you have hundreds of lease agreements, hundreds of vendor agreements, maybe thousands. So you might want to filter by the type of contract or agreement that you want to focus on. But since this is for, let's say the small to mid company demo here, you can basically we're just going to filter down to the contract management workflow itself. So if I looked at one of these, this one is partially approved right here, is this agreement with Oracle. It's a SaaS agreement. It's for 36-month term. It started January 1st, 2020, and the review date is going to be October 3rd, 2022. And the notification to the vendor is 12/2/2022. So these content fields, you can actually look up this document by any of the metadata in any of these fields if you're wanting to search for it. But If there are documents related to your Oracle service agreement, like some sort of internal justification, it's going to be under related documents. And if I wanted to take a look at this internal justification, I could just click here and it'll take me to this Excel spreadsheet displayed kind of as an image file and allow me to review what was the internal calculation on why we decided to continue with this agreement. And finally, if there's some interest that some of you might have to basically glue together groups of documents into a package, maybe you have rather complex contract negotiations and there's documents other than the master agreement itself, you can get this optional module called PackageWorks, and it allows you essentially to create a package that you define. So for example, for this particular package, we have a master agreement, which those are the agreements we were looking at. This is the agreement that you're either going to renew or that you're going to not renew. But you could have the vendor proposals, internal justifications, any correspondence, and anything that you define that goes in these slots. And you can have due dates. For example, if you wanted the internal justification a week or two ahead of the notification to the vendor, you could just set it up that way. And you can have, for example, like correspondence, you might have a lot of correspondence, so you could say the number of documents associated with this could be as many as 20 or 200. You can define a minimum number of documents required for each slot and a maximum available for each slot. It's a really cool feature, and it allows you to group things together. And if you want to see them all as separate documents, you can just, this particular one, we just have the master agreement and the order confirmation. We're still waiting for some of the other stuff. And this is what it looks like to approve or deny a package. But this package is not complete yet, so we won't do that. Anyway, that's the document management system, Docstar Epicor ECM, and for the purpose of contract management. If you have any questions, feel free to call Mosaic Corporation at 678-244-1705.